There you are. Hey. Well, let's give it a minute or two and see if we can get a few folks in the house. I see we got 3 that jumped on. We'll let a few folks come in and pull up a seat. Hey, Joe Cook, great to see you. I love seeing my familiars. I love it. Yeah. I tell you what, I've been waiting since the last stream we did because that last one was a blast. I enjoyed every bit of it. John, good to see you. I hope you all are doing good. It's good to see you here. Yeah. Hey, Devin. Josiah says, hi, Grandpa. Hi. Oh, man, Josiah, I haven't seen you in so long. Sean Carl, great to see you. I hope you got my message. I sent you an email. I got your package out yesterday, and I was at the post office. I had just paid the postage, and I go, oh, no. I forgot to put my note in the box with it that gave the instructions on how to do the Shaga tea. So I emailed that to you. Hopefully you can get that attachment on that email. It's easy. Yeah, Tevin, that's great that Josiah says, hi, Grandpa. That's, for folks that don't know, that's my great-grandson. Great, Sean. That's great. Yeah, you should get that package real soon. It's off and going. I set the receipt off to the side. I was going to look at the tracking to see if they got it at least back up into Minnesota. Hey, Dark Matter. Hey, good to see you, buddy. Hey, thank you for stopping over here. Yeah, I see guys like Dark Matter. I go, whoa, I get the big names. I get all the big guys over here. Yeah. Yep. I tell you what, I never dreamt that that I would actually get into these live streams at all. But love it. Love it. Oh, that's good. Josiah's my great grandson. He's my very first great grandchild. Yeah. Quite the little guy. Yeah, quite the little guy. It's Saturday night. You just don't know what kind of group you're going to get on a Saturday night. There's a lot of streams going on out there. A lot of good ones. And I'm not trying to compete with anybody. I have to offer my streams up right now based on my availability because of my job. After the second week of April, it'll be every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Central Time every week. That's a guarantee. That'll be a set schedule. And if it conflicts with other people's streams, that's okay. If I don't get the viewers that I'd like to get, that's because they're at other streams. Oh, well, that's the way it is. I got 3-4 people on board. I'll keep yakking. Oh, wow, Sean. Yeah, folks, Sean wanted to try some Shaga, and I told him, I said, I have a little bit of spare Shaga. I'll send some to you. So I sent some off to him, and he saw one of my older videos when my Gerber saw, camp saw, it got all bent up because Big Jim at Camp WGF has got biceps on him that big around. He's using my saw and bent the devil out of it and wrecked the blades. Well, he saw, so Sean watched that video. So he has that Gerber saw that's got the multiple blades, and I love that saw. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, it's just a Gerber," but I tell you what, it served me well. Over the years, it served me well. And sure enough, somebody else, back when I made that video, I felt like a beggar, for crying out loud, because I wasn't really saying, "Oh, somebody please send me a saw." I couldn't find one. I checked all over the place. And Cheesehead Chris, he lives close to me. He told me, he says, check your local L&M store, because I know the last time I was there, they had them. So I ran over there and I couldn't find one. And I asked him, I said, do you carry them? Usually. And I never saw one come in. Well, this fella that watched my video, out of the clear blue, sent me a brand new Gerber combo saw, and just like the one I had, identical to it. And Cheesehead, I was just going to let everybody know that we weren't going to be blessed with your presence tonight, because Cheesehead regretfully had a death in the family, and he didn't think he'd be able to attend the stream tonight. So our hearts go out to you, Cheesehead. And getting a raise, I think I can come up with something to get a raise out of you. You're in a holding pattern? Oh boy, I know what that's like. Especially when you have something like that happen. You don't know when things are going to happen, how fast, how slow they might happen. Yeah. So if you got to cut and run, Cheesehead, we all will understand. I see Running Water jumped in the house. I thought I got a check. Turned out to be a bill. It wasn't the one I sent you, was it? Yeah. And I like how you put that. She said, my expectations is that I'm going to get a raise. Yeah, that's our topic tonight. It's expectations. I'm going to give it a few minutes, and then we're going to give it another couple, 2-3 minutes, and then I'm going to rattle on about my topic for the night, and that's expectations. So don't get your expectations up. And that's really what this evening's going to be about, is how each of us set expectations, how others set expectations on each other and you. And I have a reason for that topic. I sometimes has reasons for things. So, but while we're at it, anybody that's jumping on board, if you're enjoying the stream, please hit the thumbs up, okay? Those thumbs up go a long ways. I really do appreciate the thumbs ups. Yeah, Running Water, you are in deep water in Nebraska. Jeez. Go around Nebraska and get out of there. You're driving a truck. You ain't sailing a boat. Yes, Cheesehead, I hit 21. Here's the scoop. I was in a stream this morning chatting with a few folks, And I put on there, put a comment in. It said, I'm 21 today, 21 days away from my retirement. And it wasn't 15 seconds later, boom, I hit 2,100 subs. So I turned 21 twice today. We'll see how long it stays at 2,100. It's like I always say, if I've got committed viewers that are sub to me, that has so much value to me. If you're going to have all tons of subs and people just don't view, then why have them? I like subs that like to stop in and check things out. And I have to say, most of my subs are return viewers, and they don't always watch the newer videos. They're going back and they're looking at all the archive stuff, all the older stuff. But that's what it's there for. Chris, he just unsubbed himself. He's not going to watch himself. What do we got going on here? Thanks, Dark. Yeah, hitting 21. That's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. Boy, I remember back when I had 21 viewer or subs, just 21. And I thought, oh my gosh, what in the heck? I got 21 people that are watching me. And what really thrilled me was half of them were from down south. Half of them were 1,000 miles or more away from me. I was thrilled, amazed. But now I'm at 2,100 and I'm going, wow, what in the world happened? What's with the blackjack tables? They're running water. Feeling lucky? Hey, Devin. Yeah, here I'm talking about, Tevin's talking about Josiah, who's saying, hi, Grandpa, and Josiah's my great-grandson. And I never introduced Tevin. He's my grandson. He's my oldest grandson. And yes, I'm feeling so much better. All you folks, I am feeling so much better. Oh, boy. Yeah, John Morgan, he's in Atlanta, Georgia. I haven't been down Atlanta way for years. I had to go down there to Atlanta, Georgia. And I went to Georgia Tech. You're looking at me, you go, oh, he went to Georgia Tech? Well, you're darn right. I went to Georgia Tech for 9 days. Now everybody's going to go, oh, well, that's no big deal. In that 9 days, I had to do a crash course that was a full semester, full-time course, a full 3-credit course, and I had 9 days to crunch it all, and I had to pass a 480-question exam in order to be certified to do 3 things: to be a lead-based paint inspector, to be a lead-based paint risk assessor, and to be certified to own and transport Cobalt 57, which I used in the spectrum analysis machine to do that inspection work. Had to cram for 9 days and pass an exam, 480-question exam, at the end on the 9th day in order to be certified. That threw me way off, because over 40% of that 8 days of classroom. I mean, we started 8 o'clock in the morning sharp, and we didn't get done till about 5 o'clock in the evening each day. And then you went back to your room, back to your hotel, and you had to cram through the textbooks for a good 6 or 8 hours minimum each night. But 40% of the questions on that exam were all related to nuclear sciences, high-end advanced math. There was no learning curve at all. Or grading curve. Every question counted. And those questions, none of them were considered what they call qualified, where if you got so many people answered the same question the same way, but it was wrong, they'll eliminate that question. No. You either got it right or you got it wrong, and there was no grading curve whatsoever. We had engineers in that class. We had a total of 40 people that took that semester into a compressed 9 days. And we had engineers and nuclear science masters failing that course. Sty came out of there, and I was very happy with an 87% on my test. But that was in Atlanta, Georgia. The worst part about it was I went out partying and drinking every stinking night on top of those 6 to 8 hours of homework that I had to do. So, yeah, those were the days. Yeah, I couldn't do it anymore. I got to take a look at who we got going on here, what we got going on here. And Tevin says, before you know it, you'll be at 21,000 subs. I don't know if that'll ever happen. I don't know. If it does, it's because people want to be here. And more power to them if they want to be here. Because they're welcome. They're all welcome. Nomadic in nature. It's good to see ya. Thanks for stopping in. Wow, it's good to have you here. Thanks for going back and looking at some of the old stuff. The quality's a little choppy on some of the really old stuff. Audio, video not matching up and stuff. Content was fair, was pretty good, but video quality, terrible. But it was what it was in its day. Donnie Running Water, 21. Devin, and your favorite. Dev. Okay, Cheesehead. Too bad you don't look any better. Yeah, I don't look any worse. That's the one thing. If you're ugly, nice thing is you'll never look any worse. And don't talk about my looks that way. With all these females, if any of you haven't watched my last video, if all these females are following my channel, they were at 66% today when I looked. 66% in the last 7 days. I love you, ladies. Yeah. Okay. Joe Cook says, doing any fishing this year, Sty? Hey, Joe, I am going to do some fishing this year. Most of my fishing will be hiking to these little remote pot lakes that we have up here. I've got one. Nobody fishes that thing. I've been in there several times in the last year, and I even did a couple of videos of going in there, and I've never once even seen sign of anybody in there, let alone anybody fishing it. Now, I've talked to a couple of DNR biologists that work in the fish management division, and they said that lake is packed full of awesome largemouth bass. There's tons of panfish, and there's northern pike and walleyes in that lake. He said, why people don't walk in there and fish it, I don't know. I said, well, it's kind of a rough walk up in there, you know. It's about a mile hike in, and there was a storm last year and just wiped out half the forest. It kind of bordered the edge of that lake, so you got to know where to go to get around the slash and everything to get up and then drop down into that kettle where that bowl lake, it's a seepage lake, sits. And but I'll be hiking in there and fishing. In fact, I bought myself a new telescopic backpacking rod and reel. It's a sweet one. Oh, it's a sweet one. And I got all the light gear tackle, my small backpacking tackle gear. And I'll be hiking into that lake and doing some fishing this year, along with several other lakes. There's a few lakes where I'm going to pull my truck right up and right close to the lake, and I'm going to be camping right next to the lake. I almost let the cat out of the bag because I said pull my truck up. And that's a surprise for this spring. So, but yeah, we'll be doing some fishing, and we'll be doing video work out there at those lakes. Okay. Running Water says, how much lead-based paint did you have to taste? We didn't do no taste tests. One thing, though, I'll tell you, is the Cobalt 57 we handled were little round cylinder-shaped pieces of Cobalt 57. Now, Cobalt 57 is a low radioactive source, but not low enough you want to keep that in your hand for an hour. You don't want to stick it in your pocket. And one of those pieces of Cobalt 57 during that schooling disappeared from the lab. Well, our professor said, I would really like whoever took that to just set it on my desk at the end of class today. You don't have to reveal who you are. Just put it on my desk so I can get it back where it belongs. And he says, and I'm just praying you haven't been carrying that in your front pocket of your pants, especially if you want to have children. This guy jumped up out of the classroom, digging in his pocket. Everybody lost it, totally lost it, burst out laughing. Yeah, we knew who took it. Okay. Plain old Chuck. Gosh dang it. I get all the best people. I'm who and maybe what. Dark Matter saying hi to Chuck. Hi, Chuck. Hi, Chuck. Everybody say hi to Chuck. Dark Matter, you old dog, you. Woof. Hey, tell you what. Is it this old boy? He's still like the lady folk, you know. Everybody's got to have a softer side, you know. I got a couple of ladies that want to do a little hiking this summer, and they keep saying, we don't know if we can keep up with you or not. Little do they know, I don't think I can keep up with them. I just, we'll see. They both said they're camera shy, though. They don't want me putting them on camera. I said, well, no, I don't want you on my camera. I said, I might film you, but I don't want you getting on my camera. That'll wreck it. Yeah, Joe. Yep. Yeah, Dark Matter is saying, man, I would walk a mile for some good fishing. Me too. I did an old video as a ways back. It was called If Pike Could Hike. And I was just a kid at the time. And it's about this huge northern pike I caught in a remote lake up in northern Minnesota. We hiked way the heck back into that dang thing. And it was a nasty trail. And I was just a little kid. And I caught this huge northern pike. And it was me and my brother and this other fella. My brother and this other fellow, well, they ain't going to help the kid. You caught that big fish, you get it out. I drugged that fish all the way out of the woods back to the resort we were at. And boy, did that fish look rough when we got home. But you could still tell how big it was. Hike with Mike. Welcome in the house. Come on in. It's like I said, I told her earlier, right at the beginning, I said, yeah, I like to start a few minutes early, get the stream going, let people come on in and find a place to sit down and make themselves comfortable. And everybody can come on in as long as everybody behaves themselves. I want this channel to always be friendly to the family. We got to watch our language. I don't want any hate or bashing or putting people down or getting into arguments. And if you want to bash me or something, you can go to my About page, get my email address, send me a nasty email. Please don't do it here on the channel or any of the live streams, because none of us need that drama. We're not here for that. We're here to enjoy each other's company, share each other's experiences, and just have a good time. Good time at the Sty Shack. You can take the nastiness outside, because on the inside, we're having a good time. Yeah, and you'll hear me say it in all my streams that we get the best people. I got the best people that come to my streams. It's not like I have a ton of people, but they're all the best. If you got a house with 40 people in it and 35 of them are a bunch of mean, nasty, they don't care about nobody kind of people, and they're not there to enjoy themselves. They're there to just disrupt. And 5 people are trying to chat and talk about things that they care about and that they want to know about each other. They're having a sit down and chatting away. And you got all these people around them disrupting. I don't want to stream like that. And that's why I love the folks that show up to mine. And dark matter, you're absolutely right. Drama sucks. It does. It does. I was married for 38 years. I used up all my drama. I ain't got none left. You have to go borrow some from my ex. Okay. And Cheesehead, of course, has to shout out, food fight. And you know how he fights in a food fight? That's Cheesehead. Especially if you're throwing bacon at him. Hike with Mike. You are absolutely right. Negativity never belongs in the wilderness. That is city stuff. Boy, do I back you up on that. 110%. I had some drama last year. I had 2 college students. We have a college here. And this college is it's all based on natural sciences, I would say. I don't want to use the TH statement, but that's what they were. And they actually said to me, What are you doing out here? Because I was hiking down a trail in the Apostle Islands National Lakeshore. Remote trail. You rarely see anybody on that trail. Very rare. And I just happened to come across those two. And I could tell when I saw them that they're giving me the old evil eye. I was having the first smoke I had in like 4 hours while I'm casually walking down the trail. They get up to me and they go, "You don't even belong out here." I said, "Well, why not?" They said, "Obviously, you don't respect nature." I said, "It's that obvious?" And they said, "Well, you're smoking out here." I said, "Does it matter if I smoke here, if I smoke in town, or if I smoke in the local outhouse? What are you talking about?" They said, "Yeah, suppose you throw the cigarette butt on the ground too." Nah, nah, nah. I reached in my pocket, I pulled out this big handful of cigarette butts, and I said, "Look at those." And they go, "Oh yeah, you look at that nastiness." I said, "No, look at those. They're all different cigarette butts. They're all different brands and types." I said, "Not one of them matches this. These are what I picked up off this damn trail while I've been hiking it today. And you're telling me that I have no business out here because I disrespect nature?" I said, "You people shouldn't even open your mouths in the outdoors because you just ruined the wilderness for me. Because you brought your city garbage out here pretending that you're a naturalist. Because you're fake. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know me." I said, "And I bet you I won't see a single animal the rest of the day because they've seen you coming and they're scared to death of you. Because you think you know what's best for them. Just like you think you know what's best for me." Yeah, too much drama. Get that out of the woods. Okay, I got to take a look at what we got going on here. Plano Chuck says, "I was in the recliner resting, but I just couldn't take the suspense of seeing what you birds were up to." You old birds. Oh, yeah, if you want to see drama, go to Cheesehead Chris's channel. Hey, you want to see some drama? You can go to camp with Chris and have him cook for you. That's dramatic. oh, Cheesehead Chris can create all the drama he wants for me as long as he's cooking. I ain't going there. Cheesehead, you're not taking away my bacon wrapped chicken. That's those stuffed chicken breasts wrapped in bacon were to die for. Joe Cook's been married 49 years. Wow. Well, I was married 38 and it ended. So I would have been what now? It would have been 41. No. It would have been 43 or 44 years this year. Yeah. Would have been. Could have been. But I'm okay with it. We're not going there. I don't want any of my family that's watching this stream to feed that back to my ex. I don't want her running into me out on the street someday. Uh-huh. Yep, Joe, you're right. Yeah. I find every single year I get a little less tolerant of that drama. I just want to be left in peace or spend peaceful time, with others of like mind. Why wouldn't someone want that, for crying out? I look back now and I go, man, I wish I felt this way and thought this way 45 years ago. Yeah. Hike with Mike. You go, Sty. Hey, hike with Mike. I love it when you're out hiking and you're talking about just that topic. About you had to escape that city influence and just get out there and enjoy just being close to nature and the sounds of nature. There's sounds all around, but they're so pure it feels like silence. So yeah, hike with Mike. You and I are definitely on the same track. Sean, your ears die. What? um, yeah, Dark Matter is saying cheese can make you hungry for sure. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And ever since my gallbladder surgery now a week and a half ago, and I've put in a full week of work now. I can eat whatever I want now. I'm not kidding. I had pizza 2 nights in a row. And not just a piece. I mean, I had a couple of nice big pieces of pizza. And I had stuffed green peppers just smothered in tomato sauce. No adverse effects. Sty's back. Plain old Chuck. Oh my gosh. There you go. He says 40 years for him, 5 of the best years of his life mixed in there. That's exactly the way I feel. 38 years, and there's maybe a half a dozen of some of the best years of my life in those 38 years. I had the best companion. We were of like mind, like purpose. We were there 100% for each other. And things, even when they were tough, were good. So it's a big investment. 38, 40 years to get 5, 6 years of the best. But when you're getting the best, sometimes it's worth the investment. And Hike with Mike says the older he gets, the less he likes loud people. I want the quiet. Absolutely. I say it all the time. Oh, come on, tone it down. You don't have to be yelling at me. You don't have to yell. Just if I can't hear you, I'll let you know. And then you bring it up. But don't start out up here because it drives me nuts. All right, I'm not going to mention channels. I'm not going to mention people's channels. But there's a stream I like to hang out in. And they've got their microphones set so soft that I can barely hear them. So I got to crank up my TV. Now, keep in mind, I got a big 65-inch TV, and I got some big speakers. So I got to crank that way up to hear it. Well, there's certain things that happen in their streams where they'll blast this ship horn. And I'm not kidding you guys. I'm not kidding you guys. That horn goes off, and I freak right out. I'm trying to hit the mute button. I got the neighbor coming around, knocking on my door, going, "What the hell you got in there, Sty? A big ore boat off of Lake Superior?" I go, "No, it's a stream I'm watching." And every time they honk the horn, it's about 8 times louder than their voices. But I got to turn it up to hear their voices. I wish they could bring the horn and the voices together so that I can watch it in peace. So my neighbor don't come over here, and he's a big fellow. He come over here, slap that crap out of Sty for that boat horn. Gary Irwin, great to see ya. Happy day before St. Patty's Day. Boy, I tell you what, if I didn't have to work, Sty's kind of in the mood for good old-fashioned St. Patty's Day. Hey, Sean. enjoy your food. Okay, yeah, if we're still on, stop on in. Say, hey, dinner was great. Let us know. Plain old Chuck. Bring me a doggy bag, Sean. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Jasmine. Good to see ya. There's another one of my grandchildren. She said, I know he's talking about dark. Drive you nuts. Very short trip. He's got to be talking about dark. And Hike with Mike, I should have read down because Hike with Mike said the same thing. Oh, Lordy. Okay, guys, I'm going to get into this topic for the night, expectations. And a lot of what we were talking about over here about the drama and things, marriages and things, all fall into this. Hey, Calvin. Great to see you, buddy. Can't have a night without Calvin. Expectations. Now, there's a lot of people that never stop to think about it, but we are just bombarded with expectations every minute of our lives. If we're not setting the expectations, then somebody is setting that expectation on us. I just don't understand why we all tend to want to set these super high expectations. Now, and I learned this in raising my children. I found that there was many times they wouldn't meet the expectation I had of them. And I'd be disappointed. Well, you didn't meet the expectations I had. And then I started realizing, now wait a minute. Maybe I'm setting the expectation too high. Because if I set that expectation too high, then they are so challenged to reach it that they're likely not to, which leads me to disappointment. So when I set too high of an expectation on somebody and they can't reach that expectation, I'm setting myself up for disappointment. They're not setting themselves up to disappoint me. I'm disappointing myself. I'm setting it up. So I learn, bring those expectations down a notch or two, and sometimes three, and let that person exceed that expectation. What does that do? It takes disappointment right out of the equation, and it throws in the reward of feeling satisfied and proud that they met that expectation. Now, on the other hand, you set an expectation on me, the odds are you're probably going to disappoint yourself. You're going to feel I disappointed you, but in fact, you will disappoint yourself. I've had my whole life people say, and through my marriage, you're a disappointment, Sty. You didn't meet my expectations. And you know what? For years now, and there were times that it caused conflict in friendships and in my marriage. For years, my response to that was, what are you so disappointed about? It was your expectation, not mine. I didn't get to set that expectation. You did. I didn't meet your expectation. I met mine. I knew I could accomplish this. But you set the pole so high with your expectations that there was no way I could do it. There's no way I could meet your expectation. And you tell me I'm a disappointment. I'm not the disappointment. You should be disappointed in yourself for not realizing you shouldn't be setting that expectation for me. And what it taught me is over the years, and I've managed people for over 23 years, large groups of people. One of my positions, it was about an 8-9 year position. I had over 200 employees directly below me. I provided immediate supervision over 200 employees. Now, my expectations of those employees were not the expectations of a typical manager. My expectations were, if you're going to work for me, you're going to do your best. You're going to do your best while you work for me. Because if I say you're going to get this done, and they're not able to, but they did their absolute best and they got close, but not quite. And if I could see that they did their absolute best, and that was my expectation, was that they did their best for me, they exceeded their expectation by doing their best. So the expectation I set on them was met. And I could walk around just happy as a lark that my people always met my expectations. My expectations were be your best, do your best. And if it doesn't get the end product completely done right on time, you went a little over time, you had some issues and this and that on the way, but you did your absolute best. Boy, you met my expectations. I can't expect any more from you than that. And now, on the outdoor side of things, when I was providing instruction to people on primitive bushcrafting skills, one area that was real common was in some of the fire starting practices. Flint and steel. I had an individual, boy, they would strike. And they, I can't do it. And they, boom, 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 boom. And then they kept saying to me, I'm sorry, I'm disappointing you that I can't get a fire. I said, you're working your tail off. I said, it's the method you're using and it's how you're doing it that is making it not happen. But you're meeting my expectations. You're putting everything you have into it. And I said, and if you keep doing that and you pay attention and learn a few of the little tweaks you need to make, you'll have a fire in no time. Oh, but I'm ready to give up. Don't give up. Just keep doing your best. That's the only expectation I have of you is keep doing it until you succeed. And they would. And the next thing you know, they've got an ember going. They get their fire going. And you can just see the glow in them. And I glowed too. They met my expectation. They did their very best. And the outcome was what so many people say, that is my expectation, is the outcome. And you didn't get there when I wanted you to, so you disappoint me. No, I'm not setting myself up for disappointment by expecting something from you that shouldn't be expected. You've never started a fire with flint and steel before, and we're going to do it today. I don't care if it's right up until dark. You will get a fire going today. And even if we didn't get a fire going and you put all of yourself into it, you met my expectations. You're not a quitter. You're just going to go for it. I've had so many things in my life that have gone awry because of other people's expectations. I expect nothing from anybody. I don't. Except, and there's only one exception to that, and that's respect. That's all that's the only expectation I have is a person treat me and others with respect. That's the only expectation that I have carved in stone. All other expectations are based on how I read the person. And then what I do is I set an expectation and I try to bring it down a little. I want them to exceed that expectation so I feel good. Sounds selfish, doesn't it? Well, it is. It is selfish because I don't like being disappointed. So I don't set people up to be disappointing. I'd rather have them succeed. So there you go. There's some Sty ranting about expectations, right? And it's just like with my channel. People go, oh, you should expect a lot more people during your live streams. You should expect higher views. You should expect more subs. And no, I don't set those expectations. It's wishful thinking. It's wishful thinking. It's the old, it would be nice. Well, that's like even in our chats. I've got super chat on my chats, and my kid last week used it, and I go, oh, you dummy! Next time you stop it, he did a $20 super chat. I told him, I said, next time you're in town, you stop at my house, leave $20 on my table. I said, you dummy, And he goes, oh, you need to expect more activity on it. I said, I don't expect it. It's there. And if it gets used, great. Because my expectation's not there. It's frosting on the cake. You know what I mean? Don't set yourself up for disappointment. Don't expect too much out of the world. And one thing I have to say is if you set a lot of expectations on people, I guarantee you will be disappointed. We disappoint each other every day. There's always something we do that kind of disappoints somebody. We just can't help it because we're not perfect. Except Cheesehead, I'm sure he believes he's perfect. But, well, he can be a perfect cook, but perfection only goes just so far, I got to take a look now over here at the chat. I got to back up a ways. I want to see what you folks have been talking about, and I'll rattle it on. And okay, Cheesehead had to take care. He said, okay, got to head out. Take care, everyone. Cheesehead, you'll catch this later, but my prayers are with you, buddy. And yeah, Cheesehead, for those that weren't aware, he had a death in the family, and he was going to have to drop and run on a moment's notice. So, okay. Let's see. Where am I at? There we go. Dark Minute says, LOL, if Cheese is talking about me, won't have to drive, just a short walk. LOL. Yeah. Oh, boy. Yeah. Tons of people. Okay, Jasmine had to cut out. I see that, which is understandable. Running Water says, I like having no expectations and thus zero disappointment. Exactly. Hike with Mike says, too many people have way too many unrealistic expectations. I have to deal with at work all the time. Yeah, yeah. And that's I didn't even mention the workplace. And boy, oh boy, that's where you see it all the time. You see it all the time. I in my workplace, I have no intention of disclosing where I work until after April 6th. And then I'm going to be careful about it because my employer, they watch social media of all of their employees. They actually do. I've witnessed it firsthand. And if you say anything too negative, boy, their attorneys are all over you. They set expectations that are just absolutely unreasonable and cannot be accomplished. However, they will not fire you for not making those expectations, reaching those expectations, but they can sure pile the stress on you about getting it all done. Yeah. Plain old Chuck says baby steps, small goals, but many of them. That's good advice. That's good advice. When I head out in the woods, it can be clear skies, clear blue skies, temperature's perfect, and I'll tell myself, well, I can go all to pieces in no time. I be prepared for it. Don't expect it to be that way when you get to where you're going and you're ready to set up camp. Them clouds are going to come in. It's going to rain like the cats and dogs. So you better be prepared for it. So what I did was I dropped my expectations down to a perfect day so that it ain't happening. I ain't going to have a perfect day. And I do. Even if it does cloud up and it starts to storm and rain, my expectations were just right there anyway. I get to my camp, I'm going, boy, yeah, the clouds are rolling in and it is going to get nasty. Well, I put a little extra effort in. I got my camp set up and I'm out of the rain, got my fire going, getting ready to eat, going, whew, I exceeded my expectations. I thought for sure I was going to be soaking wet before the end of the day. All these little expectations, all these little goals you set. And they're easy to meet then. You're not over burdening yourself with things you cannot accomplish. And then we have Dark Matter says, that's the one thing when I start rattling on, boy, I really get going there. I know I missed more. I got that. Got those. I'm getting close to the bottom, folks. And the reason I'm reading off some of these people's comments is that some folks are watching this on their phones and they can't see the comments. And they're counting on me to tell them what's going on in the chat. Where are we? Okay. Calvin's Corner says most times anyone's best is way more than we want anyway. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Dark Matter says, I have some high expectations that Calvin will do some Dutch oven cooking soon. Yeah. Well, that's one thing us YouTubers like to set expectations on each other, don't we? Okay. Dark Matter says, seems to me if a person does their best, that's all you can really ask for, unless it's Calvin's Dutch oven cooking. That has to be on point. As long as it's edible. don't, yeah. I I love food generally. I just love food. And I've done a couple of videos. I did one that said I can't eat that. And it lists some things I can't eat. But generally I can eat anything. Even if a person messes it all up, I can eat it. So for me, Calvin's Dutch oven cooking, the expectations are low. So 99.9% Kelvin's percent of the time, Kelvin's going to exceed my expectations, and I would enjoy every bite of it. Okay, and then Kelvin said, "Okay, guys, got to add some wood to the fire out back and a beer." Thanks for having me. You'll have a awesome St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, we will try. Thanks, Calvin and Dark, you guys. Yeah, plain old Chuck says, "Have a green beer for me." Um, Hike with Mike says, "If you set high expectations on yourself, you'll be disappointed too. I do that a lot and never learn." Yeah, yeah, it's a hard thing to live with. I do the same thing. It's easy for me to disappoint myself because I set my expectations where they shouldn't be, more so than I do with others. I just part of me just wants to be able to do more. You know, I think that's natural though with all of us, Mike. Drink a blue one and you're all set, buddy. Because plain old Chuck said, I had a couple of yellow ones today. Yeah, mix the blue and the yellow, and you got St. Patty's. Okay, Gary Irwin said, had great expectations with fire starting. I worked on it for quite some time, striking a spark. Then suddenly I got that glow. Unfortunately, I realized the only thing set afire was my T-shirt. Hey, fire's fire. And you use that T-shirt to get a good fire going so you can stay warm because you just burned up your shirt. Okay, I gotta zip down these a little bit. I'm falling so quite a ways behind. Um, well, I'm not that far behind. Okay, like with Mike, the great transcendentalist philosopher Henry David Thoreau said, "There is no bad weather, just different types of weather." I keep that in mind all the time when the weather changes. Exactly. Exactly. It's just the weather. I've said that for years. People would say, "Oh man, is it nasty out and it's this and this." Oh, come on, it's just the weather. Don't worry about it. It's going to go away. It's going to change. We just got to get through it now and it'll go away. It'll change. Just a different type of weather. And if you're not prepared for it, whose fault is that? The weather's or yours? I have a lot of people blame the weather for everything. Oh, the weather did this to me and the weather did that to me. You weren't prepared for it? Weatherman told you this is coming. And you didn't bring a raincoat today? But yet they've been talking for the last 3 days that it's going to rain today, but you didn't bring a raincoat. Oh, the rain ruined everything. I got soaking wet. Why did you get soaking wet? It's just different kind of weather. Weren't you ready for it? Canoe Hound, hey, hey, good to see ya. Everybody say hi to Canoe Hound. It's great to see him in here. You know, I've picked up a lot of new subs, but I've also picked up on a lot of new channels, and I've been just killing myself trying to get as many videos watched as I possibly can of these folks, these newcomers, and they're good comers. I mean, they got good channels. They got some great stuff. I I'm not doing it in this stream, but I got a couple of channels I'm going to be mentioning down the road here. I went to one that he's only got, I think, 6 or 8 videos, and he's only got a handful, tiny little handful of subs. And his videos are older. He hasn't made one in quite a while, but he subbed to me, and I went over and I checked his channel out. People sub to me, I go check their channels out. His videos were just awesome. And boy, I could see his channel just blowing up if he wanted to really put that much time into it. But I don't think he does. I think he's doing this just because he's passionate about the ones he's doing. And that's why they're so good. So check each other out, you guys. You'll find good channels amongst yourselves. Joe Cook says, Sty, the only thing I cannot eat is the whites of an egg. Really? Really? And they're always telling you that you should get rid of the yolk and eat just the whites. Well, you'd be in a fix. Wow. Dark matter. Okay, so buddy, I'm going to run, but thanks for letting me hang out, and God bless you, brother. Hey, Dark, you coming over here is great. It's just absolutely great. I just happy to see you. Very happy to see you. Gary Irwin, one of my expectations I have for myself is to keep setting expectations for myself. Exactly. I do that every day. I mean, from the minute I get up in the morning, I start setting expectations for myself. And if I find myself not doing that, then I set my expectation as being to set some additional expectations for the day. Because that's what gets you through the whole day, is setting some expectations of yourself. Absolutely. And yeah, Gary Irwin, I'm from Michigan. Don't like the weather? Wait an hour. It can be that way quite often up here in northern Wisconsin, especially if you're close to the lake. Yeah. You can at least say, wait till tomorrow. Yeah. But very often it's, yeah, give it an hour. Don't worry about it. Just give it an hour. Something's going to happen. Yeah. Hike with Mike says I've had some of my most favorite hikes in rainstorms. I've had some of my most interesting and kind of rewarding outdoor adventures and experiences in extreme weather and a lot of times rainstorms. Yeah. It's, to me, the weather is just part of nature. It's just like anything else out in the woods or wherever you may be. If you're out in the woods climbing through you're bushwhacking and climbing through a bunch of rock outcrop and that, It's difficult. And you can slip, you bang your ankles up, you twist an ankle, blah blah blah. Well, it all comes with you wanting to go through that stuff. You want to do it, and it's just like I want to take a hike. I want to take that trail. And someone says, "Are you crazy? Look at the weather." You go, "I didn't say I wanted the weather. I want to take that hike, and weather's going to be part of it." So it'll be that hike with the experience of the weather. So I get to share that experience. Um, yeah, nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I think we're going to on tonight's stream. Um, we'll see if we pick up any more folks between now and the 1.5 hour mark. The stream won't go over 2 hours, but I'm definitely going to take it to an hour and a half, unless there's nobody in here, because Sty gets looked at funny when he just talks to himself. People go, "Oh my gosh, there he is, just talking to himself again." Yeah, running water. Poor weather usually means fewer people. Now, I've hiked into some awesome locations and had an awesome time because there was nobody there. Nobody there whatsoever, because the weather was what most people consider miserable. But I was prepared for it. I was dressed for it. I expected it. Yeah. Yeah, Gary Irwin says, I've heard it said that the destination is the journey. Now, yeah, yeah, that's typical, is my destination. That's my journey. I've taken now several people out on 2 hour or 4 hour 1 mile hikes. And what I explain to them is because they're usually looking at point A to point B, and they want to get to point B as quick as possible. They just want to straight off to point B. And they really don't, they're not paying attention to anything in between. And I've had so many people say, "I've hiked that trail so many times. I've never seen any wildlife, never seen anything, not even a squirrel." And I go, "Are you kidding? I always see wildlife on that trail. I see deer, I've seen fox, I've seen bears, I've seen all kinds of critters on that trail." No, never seen nothing. And I said, "Well, there's a really neat little waterfall on that one creek you got to cross." I said, "And if you stop at that creek and you just listen, you can hear that little waterfall upstream a little ways. You head off out in the woods, and sure enough, there's this nice little, about a 5 foot waterfall. Never knew it was there." So what I do is I take folks out and we do this 2 or 4 or 2 or 4 hour mile hike. And what it ends up being is the mile is the destination, and you're exploring your destination in that mile. There's nothing at the end. There's nothing at the end. The mile is your destination, and you're going to spend 2 hours or 4 hours on that mile. Yeah. Hike with Mike says, "I agree, Donnie, running water. That is why I love hiking and camping in the woods in Florida in the height of summer. I have the swamps to myself, rather deal with mosquitoes than people." Uh huh. Yeah. See, and that's one of the issues we have up here in northern Wisconsin. The summer months are peak tourism months. You got all the tourists, you got all the vacationers. Some of the waterfalls that I love to go to are remote. But boy, in the peak of season, you'll see these goofy people taking their little minivans or their little two-door Honda car down the nastiest old backwoods trails, beating the life out of their vehicle to get into those waterfalls because it's tourist season and it's listed on the list of waterfalls to see in Wisconsin. My God, what are they doing in there? And what they do is they spoil it for folks like us that just, you really want to enjoy it. You don't want to go there and hear a lot of human voices. Yak, 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 yelling back and forth. Kids running all over the place like it's the neighborhood playground. They totally take the natural out of nature when they do that. So I like going and my waterfall videos, that playlist, those waterfalls I visited in the fall of the year after school had started. And I only had a couple of waterfalls where I actually ran into people. And those people were there for the same reason I was, to get away from people. So we got along quite well. And I'm the same way. I'm the same way, Mike. Yeah. Plain old Chuck. I remember fishing all day in the rain and and extremely windy days, only to load the boat and drive home in the calmest and sunniest of weather many, many times. I've been there so many times, Chuck, done that. There's a lake that my spouse and I used to stay on every summer after our kids were grown up, moved out of the house. And it's where my parents actually spent their honeymoon, was at this resort. And we'd stay in the cabin they were in. Several times we stayed in that exact same cabin. The lake shore, and it's all rock. There's no sand or nothing. It's all rock. And the lake shore was only 12 feet from the front door of the cabin. And the cabin faced due north. So fortunately, unless you got a northeast wind or a northwest wind, because you never got a due north wind coming south. But if you had a northwest or northeast wind, just where that point sat that our cabin was on, you got to watch all these massive waves going past. Once in a great while, it would be just enough north that they'd hit that wall of rock out front of our cabin and splash up and hit the front door. It was awesome when the water was rough that way, if you're in the cabin. But there were so many times we'd be out on that big old lake. We'd take off in the morning. It's beautiful weather, calm, perfect. Fishing starts out real good. Then all of a sudden you can feel that wind coming. Then all of a sudden it's raining. And all of a sudden you got waves that are 7-8 foot high. And you're in this 14-foot boat beating it back to camp, getting back to the cabin. You get in, you just go through a nightmare getting all moored up, getting everything packed away, and you're soaking wet. And you get to the cabin, you get in the cabin, dead calm. You look out there, there isn't a single wave. It all stopped because you're home now. Yeah, I've been down there so often. Yeah. Yep. Hike with Mike, you're absolutely right. If you want to act like, if you want to go wild and just be just loud and running all over, and go to Disney World. Yeah. They've got parts of the park that are just fake outdoors. You can go there and enjoy it and pretend you're in the outdoors, but it's appropriate to be loud and crazy and noisy there. There's only 30,000 other people in there doing the same thing. That's why I don't go to places like that, because I'd rather experience the real thing with less people and with all see all those people down there going crazy in this mass of people are basically of the same mindset. We're here to go crazy. That's why when I go out in the woods and I see someone acting that way, I go, no, 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 no. We come to the woods because you're driving us crazy. We've come here to become part of this natural world that is so much calmer and so much easier on you. It's healing to be there without the craziness. Running water. I had to pull a Prius out of the ditch by Houghton Falls. They missed the turnoff and thought a U-turn was a good idea. Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. You wouldn't believe how many people I've run into out here in the Barrens, out in the woods. That I mean, they're hung up right. They're sitting on the ground right on the chassis of their vehicle. The wheels are just spinning in the muck. They're not going to get out of there, and they go, "Could you help me out?" And this, that. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I can, so I do. If they're stuck in muck, I'll tell them, "Here's a strap. You get it on your vehicle, and you put it on mine. I'll drag you out. You take the strap off, and you put it in the back. I ain't getting muddy for you. Ain't happening. You shouldn't have got in there in the first place." But that city folks from the cities, we have people from Chicago, Milwaukee, Madison, Wisconsin. They head up north and they get out in these woods and they're doing the goofiest things you ever seen. And you're going, oh my gosh, you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to kill yourself. You're going to get lost out there in them woods. You don't know what you're doing here. But they're there anyway. They're there anyway. And you got to just kind of work around them. You know what I mean? It's a shame. It's a real shame. The yep. The I see people are jumping off. I do know that there's several other streams up and running right now, and I do suspect folks are jumping over and checking out those streams. And I don't fault them. I don't fault them at all. The I don't encourage people to jump out of my stream, go to another stream, but yeah, if they want to go check out somebody else's stream, that's more power to them. Again, oh, I bumped the camera. But see, and when I'm not on my stream, I'm lurking other streams and I'm jumping in between them and the like. So, and one of my a benefit for me is there's times where I'll have 3 or 4 streams going at the same time. And so I got the tabs right there. Just hit the tab and I can check that stream, hit that tab, I see that stream. Blah, 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 blah. So, but I never fault anybody for wanting to jump off and go check out a stream. Yeah. Yeah, running water. But that's like my story about going up Smead's bench. Taking a car where it shouldn't go can be a bad thing. But the problem is people that really want to get somewhere, they think about their vehicle, and I can make this vehicle do it. Well, that's a lot different than these people that come from the city and they just go, well, it's a road, I can drive down that road. They're not thinking about the obstacles they're going to run into and what's going to happen to them. And the, yeah, yeah. I don't fault for, I did that many times, many times, taking a questionable vehicle into a very questionable place. Plain old Chuck says, oh, excuse me. Plain old Chuck says, I'm too tired to jump streams. I know how that is. By this time of the day, my legs just ain't doing it. I just can't jump too many streams. Being that we're getting closer, I see that I got folks jumping back on, but being that I'm getting closer, I hope none of you will fault me for this, but I have not had a single smoke all day today at all. I am going to light one. I don't like that. I say this is a family-friendly channel, and that's a bad habit. So before I light up, I want to tell every young person out there, I don't care how old you are. You can be 1 year old or 101 years old. If you've never smoked, never start. Don't do it. Don't do it. Sty's been smoking for 50 years, and he probably would have lived to be 110 if he hadn't done that. So I'm going to. Gary Irwin says I'm too fat to jump in anything. To jump in anything. I know how that is. Hi, Owen. I'm breaking a big rule, having a smoke. I'm not supposed to smoke in this apartment. But sometimes you just got to break the rules. If it's breaking it once, is it worse than breaking it 100 times? Is it not as bad? Nah, it's just breaking the rule. And I am breaking the rule. Yes, I do, running water. Oh, wow. Yeah. Feels like you're pulling on a Cuban cigar. That might work. If I could get a vape that's got, I'd really like to have a vape that's got a good menthol, but strong tobacco base taste to it. I've looked at vapes and I can't figure it the heck out. Running water, probably what I'll have to do is have you buy me one with some juice, and then I'll pay you because I can't figure it out. the all natural, and that's why I smoke cigars, not cigarettes. They have less tampering done with the processing of the tobacco. Thank you, running water. But I have partially switched over to pipe. I smoked pipe for quite a long time, and then I gave it up. And I had 3 really nice pipes. In fact, I had a old church warden pipe, Gandalf pipe, if you're into Lord of the Rings. But I had a really nice church warden pipe that it got misplaced in my transitions, and I have not been able to find it. I had a beautiful burlwood pipe that lost that somewhere. And then I had another pipe that was actually made out of hickory, and it had a wolf scene carved on it, and that got broke right at the bowl where the stem end is coming from the bowl. It broke, and I tried to repair it, and it just, no, it's no good. I have several simple systems with no adjustments needed. See, that's what I mean. Okay, I believe you. I don't know nothing about vapes. I don't know nothing about them. I see people using them all the time. I see them all the time, and I can use a vape here. They don't have any rules against vapes. Um, except the building I live in, we got some of the nicest folks in the world in this building. And then we've got a few oddballs. It's society. That's the way society is. And I actually had overheard a person say, "Oh, look at that person over there with that vape." And I said, "Yeah, it's because they can use it indoors. They don't have to go out in this nasty weather to have a smoke like the rest of us." And they said, "Yeah, but they're sucking on cannabis oil, guaranteed, promise. I swear by it." I said, "Well, if you're selling it to them, then you know for sure. But otherwise, you don't know if that's what they're using their vape for." Yeah, I do know a few folks that vape cannabis oil, and that's their choice. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. The person that really gets into cannabis to a excessive degree, I feel for them. If that's their thing, it's like over drinking or anything else. I just wouldn't have them do my taxes for me. I might take them on a hike because it could be funny. But yeah, I I have noticed now that I'm doing 2 videos a week and 1 live stream a week. It's great because my views are dropping. The number of views are dropping. My watch time is going up. People are watching the videos longer because they know there's not another one coming for quite a while. So they're watching the whole video. So the watch time and the number of views, is balancing itself out. And I think it's going to work out okay. And I am so MT Woods Runner. I'm all choked up. Everybody say hi to MT Woods Runner. That's the man. That's the man. I'm breaking the rules here, MT. I'm having a smoke. It's the first time I've ever had a smoke on a live stream. I just couldn't help it. It's been over 4 hours since I'd had one. Today. I haven't had one today. I just realized, so that's why I just needed one. And the reason I'm pointing out Woods Runner to you folks, smoke them if you got them. The reason I'm pointing out Woods to you guys, go to his channel. Anybody that has not checked out Woods' channel, you gotta go check him out. That man hiked to the top of 20 peaks last season out in west. It's southwestern Montana area. Well, he moved around a bit, but 20 peaks in one summer. 20 peaks. And now these aren't hills he's climbing out there. And Running Water, you'll remember. Those aren't hills he's climbing. I mean, he's getting up in thin air there. And he ain't a spring chicken. He makes old Sty look like he's living in the outdoors old folks home. I would love to hike with you, Woods. I just don't think I could. I would never be able to keep the pace that you have. It would be some of your hikes that he takes off at the crack of dawn and he's coming off that mountain and he's just making it back to his rig right as the sunset. Well, Sty's camping halfway there. Well, I get to the destination, come down to the nearest suitable campsite, and that's where I'd be for the night. And then I'd come out the next day. But I tell you what, he's just the guy. He is great to watch. He's just I've known so few people like Woods. So few people like him. And someday, Woods, I'm hoping to make a road trip out there, and I will not come into that neck of the woods without giving you a lot of front end warning that I'm going to be in the area, and we'll have to look each other up, and it doesn't even have to be a hiking thing. Just camp somewhere. Yeah, got to do it. Yeah, in fact, there's this fellow that lives in my building here that I let him watch one of Wood's hikes. I can't remember which peak it was, but we watched it. It was a little shorter of a video than most of them. And this young man, he just, oh my gosh, he says, isn't that just absolutely awesome? I said, he hiked 20 peaks. And he goes, you got to be kidding. He says, how many years has he been doing this channel? I said, no, he hiked 20 peaks this year. He said, that's impossible. And I said, oh no, you watch. I said, you come on over, we'll get a bunch of goodies to munch on, and we'll sit around, and we're going to have a marathon. We're going to watch that from peak 1 all the way to peak 20. And he did one Saturday. He showed up, man. We started watching Woods's peaks at it was about 8 o'clock in the morning. And we were watching the last one at about 10:30, 11 o'clock that night. It was just a marathon. Watched every hike, all 20 peaks. And we loved it. We just loved it. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna watch them all again. It's just awesome. And Dinga Dude, you guys gotta watch him. He's got a mascot, a mascot to die for. Little Dinga Dude. This dog, I tell you what, that dog definitely can out hike old Sty. I mean, yeah, you guys got to check him out. Yeah, he says, not many peaks this year, a few maybe, getting too old. I'm just so glad that you were able to do that last year, Woods. That's what folks like us live for. And when it's too late and you look back, and that's where I'm at now, I look back and I go, I had the opportunities. There were times that I should have been out there. I should have done it. I had camps and hikes, and here we go with the topic of the night was expectations. I had expectations of myself, but I allowed the expectations of others to take my expectations and put them on the back burner. And if I would have lived up to my expectations, I would have been able to accomplish some of those things like Woods did. Um, Now, Sty's got to settle for a little bit lower impact. I'm still getting out there. This summer. I am so ready, folks. I am so ready to hit the woods. Um, the Woods. You were saying last season after I was doing those waterfall videos that you might need to visit some of the local waterfalls around you. And hey, it's not too much effort. You should still do that. Um, I might be talking to you about a future live stream series I'm going to be doing um, for next winter. I'm going to be doing a live stream series probably starting in November of next year. That's going to be called Walkabout Wednesdays. And I'm going to talk about destinations, places that people should put on their bucket lists, places that were my favorite destinations, places I've been, and and what I want to do is I'll offer up a place that I like to go do a walkabout, and I'll describe it, and hopefully I'll have OBS figured out, and I can throw up some still pictures and the like. But then I also want my people in chat to share with us what some of their favorite destinations were, are, or would like, what they would like to have as a destination. And I'd like those destinations to be outdoor related. Um, I'm not looking for destinations like, oh, I always wanted to go to Disneyland. I always wanted to go to SeaWorld. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about destinations of awe, where, like with Woods, you watch his mountain, his peak challenges. He gets to the top of those peaks and he does a panoramic view from up there, and you just sit there and you just go, oh my God. And I can't get there from here. And Woods took me there. And that's what that series is going to be about, is destinations of that type. Destinations of awe in the outdoors. And it's going to be called Walkabout Wednesday, and it'll be every Wednesday night at 7 p.m., probably starting in November. This summer, of course, it's a 2 video a week, 1 live stream on Sundays called Sty Story Sunday. And once in a while, it's extra stream thrown in, and once in a while, an extra video or two put in, because I'm going to be out in the woods a lot this summer, and I'll be videoing all of it. And I want to get a lot of that stuff out during the summer so that people can see it. So the Running Water says, probably the worst expectation is the expectation of doing something later. There's always more time later. Right. Exactly. Now, people have always said to me, I've got some fairly good sized channels that support me that have even said, and I mean, they recommend my channel to people, and they will say, you need to check him out. He sits there and he tells his stories, and you'll have to decide what you believe and don't believe. And some of them are pretty out there. Now wait a minute, I'm sorry, folks, but the Sty stories, unless I tell you I'm spinning tales, my Sty stories are all based on my life. And that goes back to what Running Water's saying, is that the worst expectation is the expectation of doing something later. There's always more time, right? Question mark. No, there is never. When you say, I can put that off, there'll be time in the future. Before you know it, you're in the future and you're thinking back to when you said that. And you're going, here I am, and I don't have the time. I don't have the health. I don't have the ability. I don't have the finances. I don't have this. I don't have that. But I had it back then when I thought of it, when I wanted to do it. And I didn't do it because I always thought there was more time. I'll tell you what, our lives are short. I've sat and talked to people that are in their 80s, 90s, 100 years old. And they all say there just wasn't enough time. There was so much more I wanted to do. That's the way I lived my whole life. There ain't going to be enough time to do it all. So get what you can in now. Learn as much as you can. Experience whatever you can. I'm that kid where my parents were always yelling, don't touch that. Okay. Worst thing you could tell me was, don't. Because I was, okay. Because I had to experience it. But now, I have to learn to accept where I'm at in life. But that doesn't mean that I can't enjoy what's left of life. I may not be able to cover a 30, 40 mile trip like I did when I was in my 20s and 30s. But I can go out there and do a 6 or 10 mile trip, have a nice camp, and enjoy every second of it. Or I can truck camp. I can pull my truck into a remote location where nobody else with some little Honda Civic's going to get in there and camp in a single spot and just kind of wander around that small spot and enjoy every second of it, of the outdoors. And I think that's what everybody. Mr. Z. Mr. Z's in the house. Great to see you, buddy. Oh, I bet you're tired of working all the time, Mr. Z. And really all we were talking about was expectations. And, we talk about different things and stuff. You can always come back and see it after it's posted up, because I never take down my streams. The only reason a stream of mine would come down would be because YouTube took it down. And everybody knows my rules in the house. Keep it clean, keep it friendly, keep it family safe. And YouTube will never touch my channel or my streams. So they'll always be there for us to go back to. And then Gary Irwin says, I'm tired of being a want-to-be bushcrafter. I want to be a bushcrafter. Gary, you just proved to me you are a bushcrafter. It's on my video list. Really, and the title's up in the air, but what it's tagged as I originally tagged it Birth of a Bushcrafter. What's it take to make a person a bushcrafter? The first thing that comes in bushcrafting is the love of the outdoors. If you love the outdoors, that's your first step. Are you crafty? I saw an individual, he was out in the woods and he's just messing around. And he took some young sugar maple saplings. I told him, we're cutting these down. I want to use these poles because I'm building a smoker, a tarp smoker, where you build a frame and then you cover it all with a tarp, and you got to build the racks for inside the frame. And I wanted these maple saplings to build it with. So we cut a bunch of maple saplings down. And I said, no, I want them peeled. I don't want any bark on them. And he said, well, okay, can I peel them? I said, yes, please. So I showed him how to peel. And I gave him my large bushcraft knife and showed him how to use it as a draw knife. So he starts peeling all of these long maple posts. Well, that's bushcrafting. Now, he hasn't done anything at all in the woods, this young fella. Next thing I know, he's got them all done. And I go, now we got to get this rack put together. And he goes, are we using these strips of bark to tie them together? I had about 300 yards of paracord sitting there. I was going to lash everything. And I looked at him and I said, I'm ashamed. I call myself a bushcrafter. And I considered collecting those poles, debarking them all, and lashing them with paracord. The great old bushcrafting practice. And that guy that's never bushcrafted in his life became the master bushcrafter. Because he saw those strips of maple bark as the cordage to construct my smoker. So we tied that smoker together, lashed the whole thing with that maple bark. Now, I kid you not, after I got that thing stoked up, wrapped, what I did was I seasoned it before I ever did any jerky in it, because the smoker was to do a bunch of jerky, a bunch of venison jerky and beef jerky. But I seasoned it first. It's like seasoning a cast iron pan. You build your rack, wrap it in a tarp, get your smoking fire going. And I always use sugar maple when I smoke my jerky. And I season the whole thing. Now with paracord, it's cold smoking, so you don't have to worry about the heat so much. When it was done, seasoning, all of that binding, all of that bark binding had, from the heat and the smoke, it was dehydrating, it shrunk, and it got so tight. That rack was, I could have hit that with my pickup truck and damaged my truck. There wasn't a piece of paracord in it. It seasoned itself just tight. We only had a couple of spots where the bark actually couldn't handle the shrinkage and it popped loose. It would have all been lashed with paracord if I had just done it. He came up with well, aren't we going to use that bark for cordage? Isn't that what we should do as bushcrafters? Oh my gosh, a non-bushcrafter is telling me how to bushcraft. So Gary, wanting to be the bushcrafter tells me you are the bushcrafter right there. Take it to heart, buddy. Woods runner, come on over, Sty. Oh man, oh man. You probably get tired of me because if I lived too close to you, I tell you what, if I lived within a half a day's drive of you, you'd be seeing me probably more often than you wanted. I could spend hours with you, my friend, sitting around the campfire. I'd love to hear every minute you spent out in the outdoors, buddy. That's when you hear Sty shut up. Is when you got a guy like Woods sitting around the campfire. Sty shuts right up. And I'll be saying, Woods, what about this time? What have you ever? And then I shut up. All I do is open that door and let guys like Woods fill me up. Oh yeah, Mr. Z. I love those mountain lakes. I'll tell you what, mountain lakes, mountain creeks, these guys, people that were not from the Northwest Montana region, didn't have a clue. They'd camp along these creeks and that. And they're all eating canned goods and hamburger from town. And in my camp, me and the family, we're eating fresh brook trout every other day. Every other day. Fresh brook trout and huckleberry pancakes. Hell of a breakfast. Oh, God. Do I miss it? Oh, I miss it just about as much as I miss some of my mascots that I've had over the years that are loved and lost. A-OK. Hey, the stream is now A-OK. I see our count is going up. We're at the 3 minutes from the 2 hour mark. And guess what, folks? Sty ain't doing nothing until tomorrow. I don't work till tomorrow. We're staying up and running. Don't anybody watching this that lives in my building, you don't see this. Please, you don't see this. I'm breaking house rules. I had a really rough day until about 45 minutes before the stream. And all of a sudden, just like that, I felt like $1 million. Felt like $1 million. And I was letting things stress me out today that I should have never let happen. Foolishness, just letting things stress you out. And I didn't feel quite right. My stomach felt a little off, and I just didn't feel right today. And then I realized, I don't know, it's the stress. It's the societal stress that makes you feel at disease. See, now to me, that's a key. Everybody talks about this disease and that disease and that disease and that disease. I'll tell you what, it's this illness, that other illness, that illness. If your immune system is strong and healthy and good, and you stay away from stress, the odds of you getting any of those illnesses goes way down. And it's because it's not disease, it's dis-ease. If you feel at ease physically and psychologically, you're not going to get so ill. It's dis-ease. You need to stay at ease. Just a word of Sty advice to you. I see all this great stuff going on here. Yeah. Joe Cook saying nothing like fresh brook trout. Oh, yeah, my mouth's watering. I'll tell you what. Anybody that hasn't checked out A-OK Foraging and Adventures, you go over there and watch them gals. That is a great. That they're having a great time. They went winter camping. Their last video was a winter camp they had down there in Iowa. And we were talking earlier about when it rains on your parade, when you're out there trying to enjoy the outdoors. Watch their last video. They spent the weekend camping in the rain, cold, wet, having an absolute great time with a bunch of other YouTubers. It's a great video. Okay, running water, pull your big rubber boots on, jump in your dinghy, and start paddling. You got to get out of Nebraska. Sorry, folks, that's an inside joke. We used to call him Dingy, running water. And so yeah, running water, be safe out there, man. Just say it, stay safe. He's an over-the-road driver, hauls flatbed truck. Yeah, and he's on the road all the time. Thanks, AOK. Your prayers for the folks in Nebraska are much needed. All of ours are for them folks. What do we got going on here? Yeah, AOK, isn't it great that Woods is here? Yeah. I tell you what, I sorry, Woods, I just can't quit tooting your horn. I don't know the rest of I could die tomorrow for crying out loud. I could live to be 105, but I'm always going to be tooting Woods' horn for him. Yeah, he's on my featured channels list on my homepage for a reason. Old Chuck says, I still have chills from the last time I watched it. A lot braver than me. Yeah, wasn't that something, Chuck? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, AOK, when you earlier we were talking about the weather and that, and of course, we got the best people in my streams. I don't. A lot of times the count is low, but it's always the best folks. I mean, I got the best. I get the best over here. We don't have the drama and all that garbage going on. We just got the best people. But we were talking earlier about the weather, and we get the comment that there's no bad weather. It's just different, you know. You know, yeah, and that's it. True bushcrafters and outdoors people. We like nice weather, but we're not going to let different types of weather discourage us. We're going to get out there anyway. Now, AOK says, Woods Runner on your 998. I do not understand why Woods doesn't have 50,000 followers, man. I just don't get it. And that's based on content. I don't care how tricked up he wants to do his videos and this and that. His content, I mean, come on, people, share him out there. Not because he's trying to have a big channel, because people need to see that stuff. They need to see what he's done. Awesome. Yes, okay. That is so true. The fewer you have in the stream, the better the conversation. And I appreciate it on my end because, you know, I watch some of these other folks. Cab 7's a good example. I visit his streams quite often, and I go to Gil Skills and Pooza Studios is a good example. 100 and some people in the stream and 80 some of them in the chat. Always locked on slow mode, and it's still going so fast you cannot keep up. You can't have a conversation with somebody because by the time you respond, their initial question to you is already beyond the top screen on the chat. So it's so hard to carry a conversation and get um to get how do I put it? To build that true like-minded YouTube experience with each other. And what AOK is doing is awesome. She's taking local YouTubers, people that are close by, and in some cases, people that are far away because she took a trip and visited other YouTubers. Getting them off of this media and in real person, where we're actually there with each other and we're free to talk and we're free to enjoy each other's company. A lot of value in that. And AOK, they're great at making sure that they get together with these folks. Yeah, New Brunswick. Yeah, yeah. And it's like I said, Joe, if you're a true outdoors person, oh, the weather be damned. We're going. We're going to go fishing. We're going to go hunting. I've hunted in some of the nastiest, coldest garbage in the world and loved every bit of it. I didn't like being cold, but I loved the hunt. There was one time I was way up in this big pine and I had a climber stand and I shimmied up that bugger and I got myself up there about 26 feet. Big tall bugger of a pine. And I got up there at about 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, the sun didn't rise till about 6:20. So I got 2 hours of just sitting around, drink coffee, and wait for the sun to come up and shoot a deer. By 6:20, I couldn't believe it. I was in about a half an inch of ice. It started freezing rain, and then it mixed with snow. Then it freezing rain. And I had this beautiful big buck come walking out in this clear cut because my tree was on the end of this stand of timber, and there was a big old clear cut there. And this big, huge buck's coming up, and he's sniffing around. And about a half hour before that, I saw 3 does walk through. So I thought, oh, he's right on the tail of them does. I'm not going to get a second chance to shoot him. I had sat in the same position so long that when I lifted my arms up with my rifle, all you heard was clink, 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 all the ice falling off of me, breaking off of me. I took 3 pot shots at that buck. I was so mad. Because the minute he heard that ice busted, he's just like he had a jet engine up his rear end, shroom to that clear cut. Every time I'd fire, the first time I could tell I was just over his shoulders. The second time I could see the ground burst behind his tail. Third one, right behind him again. And he was moving. Boy, he was moving. But later that day, after I broke the ice off, thawed out a little bit, I managed to get myself a fairly decent buck that day. But yeah, the big one got away because I was froze to my deer stand. I love that. Yeah. Yeah. AOK says I make 1 trip a month to meet people in person. They just have to invite me. Well, I'll tell you what, AOK, if it's even possible, later this summer sometime, if it's possible, I'd love to have the two of you come on up in our neck of the woods and stay. I'd put you up here, but I live in a tiny little apartment and I've got 1 sofa. I'd put you up here, but we got a lot of nice places to lodge up here. But I'd love to have you come up and we go do a little trekking. and you love foraging, we got some really unique places to forage. And we could do a little shaga hunting if you got up here. So, yeah, later this after spring, let's stay in touch. Maybe you can make a trip up here someday and we'll do that. Yeah, I bet you're excited. Spring turkey hunt. Wow. And only 3 weeks to go. Yep. Oh, wow. Woods runner. Wow, wow, wow. Hey, canoe hound. Yeah, yeah, good. You know, I think as time goes on here, I would really like to coordinate with some of the folks that are within travel distance. I don't want to expect much out of a person, trying to travel somewhere. But I've got some great locations that a person could have at least a 3 day, a 2 or 3 day um, gathering. A primitive camp area, and we'd be out in the barrens and could definitely enjoy each other's company and do a little exploring. So I could give you the kind of the nickel tour. Oh yeah, Joe. Yeah, monster buck from Lawrenceville. Yeah, do some storytelling. Canoe hound. Uh, it seems like that's my whole life is storytelling, isn't it? you know, and that again, back to the storytelling thing. I was looking at my list again today. I'm working things out for this new schedule and having Sty Story Sundays. Um, and I'm going to have to squeeze a Sty story in here and there because my list is so dang long. I'm going to have to live to be 135 years old to get them all out doing them just once every Sunday. Uh, but I still have so many people that tell me that it's impossible for one man to have that many stories from one person. Well, it's not. It's not. Um, it's all in, and I don't know how to really put it because I just put myself out there. Now, I have to admit, there were times that some of my stories are because Sty was a damn fool. I'm telling you. Um, but oh, sorry, folks, bump the camera. It's like you're sitting too close. Sorry, I kicked you. but but some of my stories can be so out there and so extreme, and people just go, hey, "He's yarning you. He's it's BS. He's yarning you." I even have family that tell me, "Oh, you're full of it." Okay, I don't. I can't tell you what to believe and what to think and what to, you know. And like I said earlier in this stream, I if I tell you that I'm yarning you, or if some stories are obvious that it's a joke, like I did um, Tiger Tales. That's all things that old boys had told me that are just tales. And Tiger Tales, that video was about one of there's like 4 or 5 different examples within that video. And the one that the title came from was my granddad when I was just a little guy. I mean, I was just probably 6, 7 years old at the most, I kept asking my granddad. We had a big piece of property in town where 2/3 of the property was wooded. And we had our big main house, and we had 2 cottages. And my grandfather lived in one of the cottages, and this other old boy lived in the other one. And between those two, Sty just filled himself full of what my ex-wife called worthless information. Well, them old boys would give me valuable information about the outdoors. No such thing as bushcrafting back then. It's just being an outdoorsman. And they gave me life's experiences at a very young age. It's like I did my first hunt, first hunt and kill. And I think it was Woods Runner I think it was Woods, wasn't it? Woods, you that suggested that one and my first hunt and kill was a squirrel. That old boy that lived in the cabin by my granddad's cabin had a 22 caliber Crossman pump pellet gun that I killed my first squirrel with. But anyway, these stories, when I'm yarning you, the tiger tales I was telling you, my granddad, I asked him, because I was a curious little kid. I said, Grandpa, are there tigers in our neck of the woods? And he goes, oh, yeah. And I said, why don't you ever see any tigers, though, in the woods? He goes, oh, you can't. I don't. He says, there's only one way to ever see a tiger. And he says, I don't know anybody that's ever seen one out in these woods, anywhere in these woods, except the people that do it this way, where they can attract them out to see them for just a minute. And I said, well, how do you do that? Because I wanted to see a real tiger. He says, you got to take a box of Frosted Flakes. You take them in the woods and you clear out a spot and you dump that box of Frosted Flakes on the ground. And then you hide in the bushes and you wait and you got to watch them Frosted Flakes. And sooner or later, tigers are going to come out to them. I was too young to put 2 and 2 together that Tony the Tiger's on TV with his Frosted Flakes. I went out there and dumped a box of Frosted Flakes in the woods. And I watched the dang thing for a week. I never seen no tiger. Peed me right off. But that's a yarn. That's BS. That's for the fun of it. I actually reacted to that BS story. So it made it a Sty story. But it doesn't make his story about catching tigers real. But my viewers know better. If I don't tell you I'm yarning, I'm telling you the truth. And to be 100% upfront with you, many of my stories, I have edited and cut out things that I thought were too much for folks to really want to know, where there were injuries involved or there was events that just aren't pretty, or because I fear that it might be suggestive that some young person might be foolish enough, have just enough Sty instinct in them to go out there and do the dumbest thing in the world, and that's try to copy Sty. I tell people, don't do as I did. Do as I suggest now. The way I got here, that was a rough, wicked, windy road. I don't want to encourage people that ever have to take that. Canoe Hound, we love the stories. I love my viewers. I got the best people like that. You hear that so often. I just can't shut up that way. Plain old Chuck, can you imagine having Sty around the campfire telling stories? In our camp, during the old days of Camp WTF, that was actually written into our into our curriculum was storytelling and how to yarn around the campfire. And we'd sit around the campfire to have a few clients and sit around the campfire. And I'd trigger it off with a Sty story. Tell the Sty story. And these people, they just glued. They just, oh my gosh, oh. And then when I'd finish that Sty story, so often they would say, tell us another. Come on, tell us another. And I'd say, I'll tell you what, we got all night if you want. We should get some sleep because you got a lot of things to do tomorrow. But I'll take all night if you want. But here's the rule. I'll tell you one, and then one of you tell me one. After you tell your story and we talk about it a little bit, then I'll tell you another. And then somebody else is going to have to tell me one of theirs. A good storyteller listens to the stories of others. Because I'll tell you what, I'm not the only one with an interesting life. All of you have stories to tell. I've had people tell me I have nothing. There's never been a thing in my life, never, ever been a thing in my life that's worth telling as a story. I just laugh and I go, you give me a little while, I'll drag something out of you. I'll drag a story out of you yet. Because everybody has had a story in their lives. Yeah, and Woods Runner thing, I got to feel like that myself. I'm going back a bit on the chat. And yeah, I'd love to have all of you folks around Campfire. But yeah, Woods saying he's got a few like that himself. That's why I said, boy, Woods wouldn't want me living too close to him because I'd be over there all the time saying, tell me a little more. Tell me a little more. I want to hear a little more. Oh, yeah. You folks are great. You're so good. Mr. Z, I'm your 1,000 words. I love it. I've been having a heck of a time with my cordless mouse. Every time, you know what? I'm having a heck of a time right now. You know, this stream, as long as I've got a few folks around, I'm just going to let this thing run because, like I said, I got nothing going on. I got to go to work tomorrow. I don't leave here until 2:30 tomorrow afternoon for work. So I'm putting on my new peepers because I can see that chat a lot better without doing this all the time. Mr. Z, I'm your 1,000 woods. That's awesome, Z. Yeah, everybody, check them out. Check them out. If I find out anybody watching my streams hasn't gone over and checked out Woods, I'll get you. One of these days, I'll get you. ALK Foraging says, Woods Runner, you going to be making any new videos soon? Just saw your last one. You're good. Oh, yeah, he's good. He's good. And Woods says, you bet. I think Woods knows that he's going to have to get some up there. Spring's coming. He's going to have to get a few up there. Sty feels like a starving man, and I got to be fed, you know. And Woods' channel is like my refrigerator, and I go there, and there's some leftovers, but I want something fresh and new. I'm so hungry for something fresh and new. I can eat the leftovers. They're still good, but I really want something new. 1K for Woods Runner. That is, yeah, just 1K. It's awesome. I hit 2,100 today. I was telling folks earlier, I was on a stream this morning and I go, guess what, everybody? I'm 21 today. Everybody's laughing. Yeah, old Sty's 21, you bet. And I said, 21 days away from full retirement. It wasn't 15 seconds later, and I was at 2,096 subs. It wasn't 15 seconds later because I was running split screen and I'm watching my channel and I'm over here watching that stream. And all of a sudden I see my subs go bing, 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 exactly 2,100. It wasn't 15 seconds after I put that post up there on the comments. So I turned 21 twice today. 21 days of retirement and 2,100. Woods, you hit the 1,000 mark. Yeah, now you're a $1,000 bill, buddy. It's all, say it, clear sailing now. Okay, says Sty, give us a story where you were out in the woods and was actually scared of making it out alive. Okay, now I did do one where I broke my ankle up in the back country picking huckleberries out in northwestern Montana. That was a little nerve-wracking. I wasn't sure what I was going to be. Just stranded up there and eating huckleberries and crawling off that damn mountain or something and not making it. Or was I going to be grizzly bait because I was in grizzly country and seeing them was very common, especially around the huckleberry patches during that peak of the season. I thought I was sitting there with 2 5-gallon buckets full of huckleberries, freshly picked huckleberries. And I mean, it was just a bear whistle, come and get it. And guess what? You can have a huckleberry Sty sandwich. So that was a little nerve-wracking. I did have one situation where we had a spot close to where we had our off-grid place up in the backcountry when I had my family living. We got off-grid and went way up in the backcountry. We were at about 8,000 foot where we were at. And I had a situation there where I was just going on a day hike and I hiked up behind our place. The mountainside that our cabin sat on, we sat in a little canyon with a nice creek that ran through it. We had these 12 big trout ponds, man-made trout ponds that were fed from an artesian spring a half a mile up that mountain with a pipeline that ran all the way down to where we were at. And at one time that ran a hydroelectric plant for a ranch that was up there. And they had these trout ponds and they filled them with that water and they raised trout. So I hiked to the top of that mountain behind our cabin because I wanted to look down into our canyon from that mountain. I had never done that. Well, I got up there and Sty was notorious for looking off in the distance and going, oh my gosh, look at that over there. I want to go over there. And I found myself doing that for the better part of a day. And that's when I realized I went out for a day hike. And note, again, this was back before the days of bushcrafting and the 5 C's, be prepared, blah, 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 blah. And we did some foolish things. Well, all I had with me was big Bowie knife, bushcrafting knife today, a folder, I had a 32 Winchester lever action with me. I had a bunch of fishing line and a bunch of flies stuck in my hat. No cover, no container. No cordage other than the fishing line on my hat. And I realized all of a sudden I'm an easy 6 to 8 hours to get back to camp, back to home. Problem is where I went, there were no roads. This is a pure backcountry, just bushwhacking. Fortunately, some high mountain meadows to cross. When I realized how far in I had gotten and that I could not even I could get maybe a third of the way back to camp, back to home place, before dark. And I'm right in the heart of the Cabinet Wilderness, and it's a grizzly preserve. They plant them in there on purpose, by the way. And I thought, I'm in unfamiliar country. Never been in here before. Can't get back to my cabin. My ex-wife knew, Sty don't get home, 3 days, and send out the National Guard to bring his body home. Because not always did she really know exactly where I was. She just knew the general direction in which I was traveling to and back. I had to spend the night out there in the woods. I didn't have a dog with me. I usually brought one of the dogs with me. Didn't have a dog with me. I spent the night out in the woods in a depression. What it was it's where a fir tree had been blown over. It was an old blowover, and it rotted away. And it'll leave, and you find these up in that backcountry all the time, a grave-shaped depression in the ground. Well, with all the pines around it, all those pine needles filled that depression with about 14 to 16 inches of pine needles. Nice, soft depression. I could lay in that, and the wind didn't hit me, so I felt pretty comfortable. There was no chance of rain or snow or anything of that nature. It was the right time of year. It was good weather. But I spent the night up there laying in that depression, sleeping for about 10 minutes at a time. And it's an old saying. I mean, they use it in that movie, The Mountain Men, with Brian Keith and Charlton Heston. When Brian Keith said, "Did you hear that? There's something out there." And Charlton Heston says, "There's always something out there. There's always something out there." And that's so true. That night taught me there was always something out there. I had coyotes passing through, and they didn't harass me because they didn't get a whiff of me. I was down in that hole, and they obviously didn't get downwind of me where they could pick my scent up. And then I could hear the grunting and snorting and heavy footfalls and movement of brush. I had a big bear come within about 25 yards or less. Oh, it had to have been less of where I was laying in that depression. And he hung around the area for about an hour and a half. Yeah, that scared the bejesus out of you. 32 Winchester and a grizzly bear in a fight or flight situation. Yeah, the odds are thin. You're just not going to get any good shots off on that bugger if he comes up on you too close and too quick that you can really get any good shots off on him. So, with a prayer and a bucket full of luck, you might be okay. But fortunately, he didn't come across me, and he moseyed on. But that was I really thought that night that I had placed my life at risk. And that, and I've said it many times, my experience out west, everything I learned up till moving out west, and then I get out there and I applied the things I knew. And that's when I realized how little I truly knew. And I thought I really knew a lot about the outdoors and about fire prep, and I could start a fire with just about anything. I know where to get food. I know how to handle my water situation. I know how to create natural cover. I knew all those things. But when I got out there and put them to practice, that's when I started learning. That's when I really started learning. And that's why that night I had just enough experience by that time that I realized I had placed my life at risk there. That was really pushing it. I was really pushing it. So there you go. Hey, okay. I I told you a story tonight. Hey, you guys got a freebie. It's not Sty Story Sunday, and I told you the Sty story anyway. There you go. Hey, okay, had to leave. I'm on call this weekend and just got an emergency call come up. You take care out there, okay? Old Joe's got to go to bed. Can't keep my eyes open. You all have a good night. Catch you later, Sty. Anytime, Joe. Anytime the Sty Shack's open, you're welcome in the door. I always tell folks, come on in the door. And while Sty's around, just leave the door wide open. No reason to close it. Just leave it wide open. Let everybody come on in. Well, thanks, Woods Runner. Thanks. I think you can relate. You know that country down there, out in that neck of the woods. And yeah, you can put yourself in a precarious spot easily if you're not thinking. I was young then. I was half my age now, so yeah, you wouldn't catch me doing that, getting myself in that predicament now. I would have at least had enough gear with me, enough bush gear with me to get myself established and have a nice camp overnight with a nice campfire, and I wouldn't have worried so much about no critters coming up and wanting to nest with me. Canoe Hound's out of here. Hey, we'll see you, buddy. It was great having you here. Great, absolutely great. It's great having all of you here. And Woods is saying, thanks for all the kind words, my friend. And he's saying, dang, that was a long time ago. The kind words, you've earned them on your own. No thanks needed, buddy. And yeah, that was a long time ago. That was a long time ago. I was out there from 1984 till I was out there early in 84 all the way until the fall of 88. 4 years, 4+ years. And some real interesting 4 years out there. Boy, it felt like a lifetime though. There was so much. There was so much. Good night, Canoe Hound. Hey, Chuck, thanks so much, man. You've been here right from the get-go. Yep, go do a little. It's like Running Water said the other night on the stream. We were talking about other streams and people jumping off and going to other streams. And like he said, a good outdoorsman always explores new streams. You betcha, Woods. It's like I said, I'd give you a way out front notice if I can get back out in that country for a while. And we would do a camp. You betcha. Yeah, I almost got huggy time with a Grizz. I've had a couple of those. I had a couple of those. Old video of mine called the Huckleberry Bear. That's the closest that's been to a grizzly bear. He was no more than 8 to 12 feet from me. No more than 8 to 12 feet. He could have mauled me to pieces. The only reason he didn't was he was mawing down all my huckleberries off the same damn bush I was picking on. Yeah, if you want to go check that out, it's called the Huckleberry Bear. Yeah, Woods, me too. I'm going to have to wrap this stream up. You get some sleep, Woods. We want you to stay in good shape. Okay, folks, I think we're going to shut her down. I want to thank each and every person that came to the stream tonight. It's been another awesome stream. And like I said, the viewer count was going up and down, up and down. I think it peaked at 15 or something. And then it's been running between 5 and 15 all night. And that's good. That's great. And just like the last stream, it was just about the exact same situation. And there was a ton of after the fact views. People came in and took a peek at what we were doing through the stream. And so as far as I'm concerned, the streams are going well. And they'll just get better. We'll attract even more good, like-minded folks in here. I know it. So, yeah, good night, Woods Runner. Yeah, there you go, Chuck. Check out Woods Runner's channel. You can't beat it. Yeah, any one of his peak challenge videos, yeah, that'll get you pretty well hooked. Okay, Mr. Z, you have a good night too, buddy. Hey, Gary Irwin, thank you too. Yeah, I mean, it's always great to see Gary here. Gary's one of my devoted followers. You're great, Gary. All right, everybody. This is Sty saying I am so happy with you coming along tonight and hanging out at the Sty Shack. And because this will be posted for the long haul, if you haven't, subscribe. Or you can punch my ugly mug. It's over here, I believe. Punch my ugly mug. And I'll leave some videos you can follow. And until the next live stream, you all make sure to have a very, very nice day. Bye-bye.